So the first thing we want to really talk about is the fact that the Missouri Secretary of State has withdrawn state funding for the digital library catalog. Now, in a statement, and this is from the local Missouri paper, The Independent, the Secretary of State is pausing all funding to the digital library online catalog, right? Specifically, Overdrive. I know lots of us are familiar with Libby, Overdrive has some other apps and all the things. Essentially, they are pausing funding because they are concerned about children being able to access digital material that has adult themed content in there. Now, Francesca, I mean, this sounds wild in itself because I'm like, this is a digital catalog. So I'm like, if you have access to the internet, in my opinion, it means you can have access to a wide variety of things. What are your thoughts on the Missouri state essentially saying we are not funding any online library material?
Couple of thoughts. First off is in today's society, like that is how the majority of people access books is digitally. So yes, they could say that there's still going to be the books, like the physical copies at the library, but that is not how the majority of people consume books nowadays, especially with how easy it is to access ebooks. I'm not 100% familiar with Overdrive. I do use Libby and Hoopla, so I do know those. I know with Libby, you easily send that ebook to your Kindle or whatever device, and you can just start reading right away. So I think that libraries really rely on digital catalogs. Digital catalogs are also great for libraries that offer non-resident cards. I am not sure where Missouri stands on that, but I have a card for the New Orleans library system and I access their books and they get money from me, yearly membership. And they, I only access books via digital. So I think the digital aspect is something that should be funded no matter what. And I think that's going to have detrimental effects. And also, libraries are already underfunded to begin with. Like they're already struggling. Having any funding, it is tragic, regardless of anything. Plus, I mean, if kids have access to the internet, they'll have access to these things. And I think it should always fall on parents to kind of monitor what their kids are doing. So I think it's almost impossible to monitor these things outside, like have an outside entity, whether it's a librarian, a teacher, whatever. You should be doing that as a parent because that's the only way it's going to get caught. So
100%. That's essentially what I was going to say. I think libraries are underfunded as is. And I know the big conversation has been about banning books in schools. However, this will affect everyone. Mm-hmm. I use the library, but I use the digital catalog more than anything else. Yes, I have a whole bunch of physical books behind me. But believe it or not, I actually utilize Libby specifically. I will use Overdrive depending on what state library card I'm using, because yes, I too have access to different state library cards because they're funded differently and we all don't have the same things. So the fact that Missouri is pulling funding from Libby, that means if you watching live in Missouri, or if you have friends or family living there who use the Libby app or Overdrive app to listen to your audiobooks, to download your ebooks, to access subscriptions like magazines, Ancestry, and all the things, you are going to be affected. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is they expect from Overdrive to provide to say, we won't let your children access this. But again, it is affecting the general population. And I stand on the hill of parents need to parent. Okay. Can we parent? Can we get back to the days when you would search your children's bag, you asking them questions, you chaperone them to places? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I was embarrassed because my dad was like further down the lane and I'm at a party here, but I'm like, sir, if you're coming, just stay down there. Do not come up here and embarrass me. So I'm like, point where we're no longer cool parents. We actually embarrass our children. Yeah. So anyway, if you're just joining us, welcome. We're covering some of the bookish news and gossip. We just chatted about the Missouri state not funding Overdrive and Libby.